Hello everyone, this is Simon Games, and I will be demonstrating my work in progress from my game Treasure Breaker. Before I dive in and actually show the demo, I'm just going to show what inspired me to make this game in the first place. So Game Dev Network a while back hosted a game jam on itch.io with the theme Hidden Secrets. That was an online game jam, and this was one of those games that I would consider a successful game jam entry, as even with its bugs, it was a fully playable game. So I'm just gonna demonstrate this game first, as the game I'm making is quite similar in a lot of ways. So as you can see here, it's basically classic brick breaker, but instead of having to destroy all the bricks on screen, the player has to find a specific treasure brick within the time limit. And to find that treasure brick, the player has to use the animations of the brick break animations to guide them. So that is better shown than said. So I'm just going to, let's say I want to try to launch the ball to the side here and see where I go. So as you can notice, the different kinds of animations at play, pure dirt like what's being shown right here indicates that the treasure brick is still far away from those bricks, whereas the ones with golden streaks that were closer to the right indicate that the treasure brick is around there. So because it's quite hard to control the ball to direct it exactly where you want to go, the player can reset the ball on the paddle. And you could do it as a limited number of times, which I called magnets over there. And so now I'm going to direct the ball to another place and see where I go from there. So because of those gems, I can tell that the treasure brick is definitely around there somewhere. It could be that one, and it most certainly was. So I really like this idea, and I want to use it to make my first game that I plan to release commercially. So of course it needed some improvements, so I will demonstrate that here. First of all, this game is intended to be released as a mobile app game, starting with Android. So that's why you see all these UI controls on screen. So first few differences you can notice right off the bat is that you have 4 paddles instead of 1, and that's to give better control of the ball. And those paddles are surrounding the brick layout here. So the magnets here, I call them ball resets, so you still have a limited number and you still have a time limit. So for this level it's a minute and a half, and essentially the player on his or her phone would move these paddles like so with these sliders, so one thumb on each, and they would move as fast as you drag them. As well, you can change the initial placement, or you could just the general placements I will demonstrate later. And finally, when you launch, the timer will start. So I'm going to be demonstrating with the keyboard controls that I implemented for playtesting, as it's definitely much easier on a desktop. So for example, let's say I want to try to hit the middle from here. So as you can see, same concept, but now, and as you can notice here, the ball is able to collide on the edges of the screen. Because I want to put the focus more on trying to find the treasure brick rather than just trying to desperately keep the ball alive, I removed having the need for lives altogether, and the ball would just collide on the edges of the screen, with the penalty being that it takes longer for it to come back. So you're still losing out if you can't maintain the ball within the paddle area. So for now, for example, the ball is especially giving me quite a hard time, as it's now parkouring all around the edges of the screen. So I can reset the ball back on the paddle and choose my location, either with keyboard controls or on a phone. It would be using these buttons. So earlier I think I found saw some golden streaks around here, so the treasure brick should be around there somewhere. Yep, it certainly is, and I'm definitely running out of time now, so bam. And of course, if the timer goes down all the way to 0, then that indicates a game over. So this is what I have so far for a playable demo. Some more notes on the game itself and where do I plan to take it from there. My next step is indeed just to add more levels, and hopefully polish it enough so that I could release a small demo on Android. So before I get more into that, just a few extra points that about its development. So another thing that I noticed when I was making this game compared to the original that I made for the Game Jam was that sometimes the treasure brick, because it's chosen randomly each time, it could be in awkward places. Like for example, if I had made this completely random, the treasure brick could sometimes be in an awkward place, like this corner right here or one of the edges, and that makes it a bit too easy. So one of the major changes that I did is that I would flag some of the bricks as being a possible treasure brick, as shown here. So if I want to, I could set this flag to true, and this brick could potentially be chosen, and then the game would basically, whenever the levels restarted, it would basically choose a new treasure brick, but only among these ones that are shown here flagged with a golden dot. As well, the search radius, as I would call it, of the treasure brick could also be be configured according to some float values, depending on how easy or difficult I want the level to be. And to show how it actually looks like in game, I implemented this useful debug feature for myself, where, for example, let me just find it here. So if I click debug mode, I could see where the treasure brick is. So this gives a better idea on how the searching for the brick, a treasure brick works. So all of these gray ones are would basically erupt into dirt when broken. The red ones would be golden dust, and the green ones would be gold dust with gems. And this one is the treasure brick itself. So it basically creates a search radius around it, but all of that looks the same when that is off. So in addition to creating more levels and implementing the menu system, as well as creating an Android demo, I also intend to potentially add power-ups and hazards later on in the future to make the gameplay more dynamic and interesting. So that concludes the first devlog. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.